Anybody else watching Trump in Saudi Arabia and thinking, can you even imagine Joe Biden trying to navigate all of this? I mean, you have massive companies there like BlackRock, NVIDIA, Amazon, Google, and Trump is going to hopefully come home with a $1 trillion deal with Saudi Arabia, which, by the way, is already committed about $600 billion. So already massive investment. But things are flowing and things are moving. And it wasn't just yesterday, actually, where the story broke, got the hiccups a little bit, that Qatar wants to provide Trump with a plane. Now, I'm getting conflicting reports. I've heard the plane, once Trump's done with it, would go to his presidential foundation. But Julie mentioned earlier this morning that Qatar is saying, no, it's just a loaner. Like, you get to use it until Boeing gets your plane done, and then we'll take it back. So I don't know the story there. All I know is that it is upsetting the Democrats because Trump's okay with it. And that has become the new litmus test for Democrat outrage is Trump's okay with it. But, like, I look at it, and I there's like this inner part of me that wants to say to every single Democrat within the sound of my voice, really? Do you really watch Trump and not recognize how impactful he is and how gifted he is? Now, look, I'm not a sycophant of Trump. I like what he's doing. I think he loves America. I believe he's operating in the best interest of our country. And I'm watching this, but it's funny because they try to present him as a dunderhead, as an incompetent doofus. And he is anything but that. It is one news cycle after another where he is moving the ball forward. And this Saudi Arabian trip is no different. So that's on the table. We have that. Also, speaking of Joe Biden, turns out that old Joe, I don't know if he's capable of lying, because I don't know if he's capable of telling the truth. And think about the logic of that. I think when you have someone in his compromised situation and so easily manipulated and mentally handled, I don't know if Joe Biden was lying when he talked about all the jobs that he created. But it turns out that those 400,000-ish jobs that Kamala bragged about, that he bragged about, turns out it never was. Which I find it pretty interesting because let me get the story here. Turns out that even more of Joe Biden's job creation numbers were fake. For months, it paraded numbers around like everything was fine, telling Americans the economy was roaring back, job creation was on fire, and Bidenomics was working. But the truth, long suspended by anyone trying to pay the bills, writes PJ Media, is now confirmed by the government's own data. Those jobs never existed. According to new figures released this week, the 399,000 jobs the Biden team claimed were created between July and September of last year have completely vanished. Not only did the economy not add those jobs, it also lost 1,000 private sector jobs during that period. This more accurate data set was just released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics for the third quarter of last year. E.J. Antoni, a research fellow, and the Richard Astor Fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Grover Herman Center for the Federal Budget explains at Town Hall. In stark contrast to the monthly job report showing an increase of 399,000 jobs during the third quarter, these new numbers show a decline of 1,000 private sector jobs. So that was a lie. But then in my search, I came across an old PolitiFact from 2024. August of 2024, Donald Trump put this out on Truth Social. The Harris-Biden administration has been caught fraudulently manipulating job statistics. Now, at that time, PolitiFact ranked it pants on fire that he was lying. Turns out he was telling the truth after all. And I'm hopeful that PolitiFact will do the right thing because they are interested in fact, hopefully. that they will issue a correction. Now, I'm not terribly optimistic that is going to happen. I also wanted to ask you about the start-stop functionality on your car. And Sean Duffy, he put out a tweet or an X and said, we're going to fix that. Everybody hates it. Nobody likes it. Everybody hates it. So we're going to get rid of the start-stop functionality. But then when you read in the comments on X, it's actually mixed. Some people are okay with it. Some people hate it. I've always found it weird if I've driven a car with it. You get to an intersection and all of a sudden your car just stops. It's just sitting there. You're like, what? Then you let off the brake and it starts back up. And I suppose maybe you get used to it. But I think we're going to do not a call-in flash poll, but I am interested in a text reaction here from all of you. Do you like the start-stop functionality that you may or may not have in your car? I don't care for it. I feel like it's overkill. I think it's obviously they do it because the environment, and some virtue signaling engineer at some car company a few years back said, hey, I have an idea. Let's just stop the car at intersections. And I think for a lot of people, they don't like it. So I'm just curious, and we'll share some of your reactions, but I'd love for you to text in where you're at with this particular issue on the stop-start thing and the fact that the Biden administration's getting rid of it. I do understand that you can turn it off, which maybe the controversy is not should we have it, because some people like it, and I suppose that it saves on gas or the climate, whatever. If you're driven by that, then okay. But should it by default be off, that an option you can turn on? Or should it by default be on and an option you can turn off? A few years back, they started changing cars. And I've talked about this before. I want my car to not try to be smarter than me, if that makes any sense. And so it was actually a Toyota, and I'm a fan of Toyotas. I have Toyotas. And I remember driving this Toyota and not used to it. It was a company vehicle, and the first time I got into it and got up to highway speed, I thought something was wrong with the car because I was approaching a car from behind, getting ready to pass, and it slowed me down. I'm like, what's wrong with this car? We're going to have to pull over and call AAA. Anyway, turns out it had the radar on. And I'm like, I don't need that crap. I don't need the car to drive for me. I just need a steering wheel attached to the wheels and a brake that works, and I'll be fine on my own. And I got, in fact, one of my top priorities was to pull over, find out what I needed to do to turn that functionality off, which ought to be a switch, but no, it's like you got to tap the brake 4 times. Press your horn for 3.7 seconds, and then blink your eyes 7 times, turn to the left and cough. Oh, wait, no, that's the doctor. Anyway, you had to do all this rigmarole to finally turn off that functionality, and basically came to the conclusion, I don't want the car I'm driving to be a Karen. I just want the car to run, and I want it to drive. And I feel like this stop-start functionality in the cars that they put in is sort of a Karen function. Like it's you know what, we know better than you. So, yeah, you have the privilege of sitting in this car, and maybe your hands are on the steering wheel, but we still know better than you. So we're going to slow you down as you approach a car, and we're actually going to turn the car off when we get to the intersection because carbon. And, okay, I guess just turn it off. And people would say to me, and probably rightly so, why are you complaining? You can just turn that stuff off if you want to. You're right. You're right. And I do. I guess my point in this would be have the functionality there if you feel the need to put it in the car, and then I'll turn it on if I want it. Not the other way. You know what this is? This is like sex ed in school. I've always felt like, you know what? If you want teachers to teach your kids all about sex, then let it be an opt-in relationship. You want teachers to teach it, opt your kid into it. But no, a lot of places no, you can opt your kid out of it if you don't want your kid to be part. Again, there's on-off functionality here, but what's the default? And I think that's the big issue. So, again, I haven't even logged into the text yet to see what you all are saying, but I would imagine I don't know. I don't know how to predict this. I think some people might maybe. Oh no, people do not like it. In fact, I would say overwhelmingly, they're saying they don't. I hate the start-stop on my car. Someone said, can't stand it, plus the repair cost of the extra battery is sky high. Oh, I didn't even know that or think about it. Someone said, I agree with you 100% on this topic, Neil. I'm screenshotting that one. Do not like the start-stop. A lot of wear and tear for very little gain. Make it optional. Heck no, I hate it. Turn it off. Studies have shown it uses more gas to start back up versus just letting it idle at an average stop. See, that's what I was wondering. Do you actually save any gas by doing this? Because and maybe engines are a little different. I grew up in the era of, we had some fuel injection, but a lot of it was carburetor, that it actually took a nice little initial dose of gas to get your car started. And it's not like you just turn the key and then it just resumes the amount. So I don't know. But you know what? You people are making me happy. I log in, and now I kind of feel validated by this. And apparently, Sean Duffy is feeling the same thing, that now it's time to end it. You know what? Is this fuel DEI? Can we make that comparison here? It's like a part of the car. It's a part of the car that nobody really wants, but you're bullied into it. Okay. Now I see a text I have to respond to. I'll do it when we come back. It's 8:20 on News Talk 107.9. It's 8:24 now on News Talk 107.9. Neil Larson along with Julie Mason. And Julie, overwhelming opposition to the stop-start function on cars.
Yeah.
I sort of thought it would be mixed, but no, I don't know if anybody said, oh, I love it. It's the bee's knees.
I think you kind of have to be bought into the Save the Environment movement that this doesn't really do anything for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the people who are going to like it.
Okay. You know what this is? This is windmills.
Yeah.
This makes environmentalists feel good, but it doesn't actually do crap for the environment.
Yeah. And then you're left with damage at some point.
Yeah.
In this case, your starter goes out faster. In the other case, we've got all this metal and crap all over the place with no graveyard for it to go to.
So I have a question here, because I'm not all that familiar with the mechanics of how this works. Someone said you have to have an extra battery for this.
Oh, I have no idea.
To start your, starter back up as soon as you let off the brake. What is the environmental impact of having to create extra batteries for the cars?
That makes no sense if that's accurate.
Yeah, someone seemed to indicate that, and maybe some models have that and other models work a different way. I'm not really sure, but and you know what? It increases the cost of your car for a feature you don't want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not great.
No.
There really is no positive here, so yeah, it should go away.
Imagine how affordable life would be without the left.
What? I like paying for Sesame Street for Ethiopia or wherever it was.
Then you go ahead. You write out that check there. That's right. What was it?
I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah. So, okay. That was kind of an interesting text flash poll. I didn't expect to get this many reactions, but yeah. Someone said the Jeep does not have an extra battery. So
okay. I would have no idea. And I don't know what models it was on the Jeep and not. I just know my last was I had a Jeep Cherokee. It had it.
Yeah.
This is a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It does not.
Okay.
I don't know if Jeep heard the cries and said, we're not doing it anymore. I don't know.
Yes. Someone said that's not accurate. One battery, but it does wear your starter out. What a waste.
Okay. I have no idea, but all of it seems like a waste.
You know what? I'm actually going to do a little research during the commercial break because I want to see actually how much fuel it saves, if it saves any.
Yeah.
So you sent me, speaking of cars, Julie, they did a safety study on Teslas, and Teslas are far, far safer than human drivers out there.
Yeah. So it is interesting because when we talked about this safety feature of turning off at the stoplights and everything, we don't like the car to take over for us.
Yeah.
But one of the side categories of this study on if you have a Tesla, are you safer on the road and do you get in less accidents?
Yeah.
It's not just a little bit, it's dramatically less.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about, a teen driver or whatever, it might be super helpful. My thoughts were, wow, I don't have parents alive anymore. But if I had a parent who wanted independence still, but maybe I was a little worried about their driving, a Tesla might be a great option for them to help keep them out of dangerous situations.
Yeah. I've driven a Tesla once. Are they any more, if you want to drive, are they any more complicated to drive than a car?
Not more complicated. You just have to get used to it.
Okay.
Because it is a little different. The braking
relearn.
is different. Yeah. You just have to, it's just some change, but
Just,
nothing dramatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So someone who, even if your judgment, was in question, they could learn
I think they could learn.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a time when they shouldn't be driving at all.
Yeah.
But maybe if let's say it's your mother and she's 60 and she's in the market for a new car, a Tesla might be a great option for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Why not? It is. They do say it's like I don't remember the actual numbers and I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's a lot safer.
I think it was 11% was your chance of getting in an accident over the next 5 years.
Okay.
Then I can't remember what the next value was, but it drops to 5%. And then if it's a Tesla, it drops to like 1.9% or something.
Okay, so it's like a tenth of
what
wow.
you would in a regular car.
Drops your chance of an accident by 90%. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, I did a little research.
Okay.
So the stop-start system on your car can save, it says it can save motorists up to $179 in annual fuel costs. So $15 a month.
Okay.
Worth it? 50 cents a day? Is 50 cents a day worth it?
Well, it's not for me. And I don't know if my driving habits fall in that much gas saving because I don't travel that much.
Yeah.
So, if you're somebody who travels a lot, especially at stoplights, city traveling, it might make a difference.
That's true. If you're commuting a lot, yeah.
But for me, where my commute is so limited and half of the commute, there's not that much stopping because it's in the middle of the night.
Right, that's true.
It makes no sense for me.
And you're at that time in the morning, you can just blow through the red lights if you want. I don't advise it.
We might have done it a time or two, both of us, when the snow is impeding the changing of the the light cycle.
Or the roads are so slick, you don't really stop quite in time. So the safest thing is just to look and keep roll
right through it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. You know what's funny? I don't know if you ever do this. Do you ever imagine scenarios in your mind? And the scenario... You're going to think I'm so weird. You're actually having a conversation with a cop to the point where you're arguing in this scenario. Have you ever done that?
No.
Like I've thought, okay, if I get up to this stoplight and I'm there and the sensor's not working and I've been sitting there for 4 minutes and I look both ways and I'm like, this thing's not going to change because there's snow covering it or whatever. I'm going to go. And if I get pulled over and that cop gives me a ticket, I know what I'm going to say to that cop. And I know what that cop's probably going to say back to me. And by the time I'm done thinking through this, I already know how this argument is going to go. And I'm like, why do I do that? That's like stress for a conversation that probably wouldn't happen anyway.
It's never going to happen. Yeah, I don't know why you're doing that.
I bet other people have done that.
I'm sure they have, but
yeah,
not good for your health.
No. But it does prep me to win an argument with a cop.
That is probably never going to happen.
You're right. You are exactly right. That is true.
0.00002% chance of happening.
But I'm prepared for it if it does. I'm just saying. Look, I bet people are going to text in saying, oh, yeah, I've had hypothetical arguments before.
Probably. I'm sure.
With a cop or a coworker or a whatever.
And I would say talk therapy might be good for you.
Yeah. It might. It might. And then watch, we'll have like 30 people text in. Nope, you're the only one who's ever done that, Neal. Someone says the car starter repair is $322 for the Honda Odyssey, 182 for parts and 140 for labor. So okay, but I guess my question is, you have to subtract every car part you have has a carbon footprint. If we're going to go down this road, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If they want to go down the road, then let's go down the road. So what that means is there's going to have to be extra mining. You're going to need extra labor. You're going to need extra, extraction for different things, extra manufacturing, extra transporting. So transporting all of that stuff. Are we making much headway when you get to that point? You may not be making a lot of headway financially, because if your car needs more repairs because you have the start-stop feature, that eats into that $180 every year that you're going to save in fuel costs, right? Mm-hmm. But then if you're an environmentalist and you're honest and you say, well, I deeply do care about the carbon footprint, then whatever amount you reduce your carbon footprint by having start-stop, you have to increase it again for the fact that you have to have more starter repairs overall because of this. Yes. So I'm just saying, they did a study one time about electric vehicles, and this was a guy who was an environmentalist, but he was like I talked about. He was an honest guy, and he's like, I really want to know what benefit are we getting? And they looked at electric vehicles at large, and when you took into account all the mining that had to happen for the batteries and everything, your electric car had to get to about 145,000 miles before you started seeing any benefit. Wow. And most people at that point in time, they're looking at getting a new car. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't even get to 200,000 miles on a car. So they're looking to swap out about that time, and maybe that electric vehicle lasts a little longer than that. But you have to drive that car for 3/4 of its life before it actually gives you an environmental payback.
Environmental. Yeah. Well, isn't this the story of most environmental things? They manufacture, here I come to save the day, and it doesn't really save any day, and it might not be a day that needs saving.
Right. That's true. Someone said cars are so over-engineered, that's why we can't afford them. They are far more expensive than they used to be. Yep. They're way more expensive as a percentage of average income than they used to be. And, I mean, cars of today were what the price of homes were about 25 years ago. Right.
And then you've got people like Tucker Carlson, who doesn't drive any automated car at all. He drives that Chevy pickup.
I love that.
So that if something goes bad, his truck still functions on gas and gas only.
EMP proof.
Yes.
So it's like an old 80s pickup.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's restored. It's a gorgeous truck.
So here's my question, and I think this fits into the overall broad conversation that we're having. We do all this stuff to get these environmental benefits, right? Mm-hmm. But cars today have far, far more components than they used to have in the name of efficiency. Mm-hmm. Well, those components require a lot to engineer, to create, to manufacture, to transport, all the things that we're talking about, like our earlier discussion. How much are we actually saving because we're saving a few miles per gallon with our fuel economy? Are we getting ahead? And the answer may be yes. I'm courageous enough for that answer to be yes. I'm not trying to prove a point here. I'm trying to ask a good question.
I don't know. I'm not a car gal, but I'm going to compare this to something else. I have a very strong opinion about washing machines. That's something that's affected my life that I know what happens and doesn't happen.
Yeah.
These bells and whistles front-loading washers that are supposed to protect your clothes and are better for the environment and don't use as much water.
I can tell by your tone you're about to negate all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want a good washer and dryer? Get your old school.
Hot point, whatever.
Yep, the drum,
Yeah.
3 cycles. It'll last far longer. You're not paying for repairs. You don't have leaks in your house. Like,
Yeah.
I think sometimes the bells and whistles come at a cost that we think, well, that's just part of electronics. Well, yes, it is. And if you're willing to accept the bells and whistles, sure, great, that's fine.
Yeah.
But don't assign them value that they're probably not giving you.
Yeah, that's
so you can have a super cool washer dryer that front loads and is red and great. If that's what you want, that's awesome. But don't give it a value that doesn't really exist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I remember early on, right after we got married, I owned a little window cleaning business just to kind of get through college. And I remember I cleaned this lady's windows, and it was an older lady. And I think she was either moving or going to a retirement home or something. And she had a Maytag washer and dryer, kind of one of the old school ones, probably from the early 80s, And so we were looking for a washer and dryer. And I said to her, I know you're trying to get rid of these. Could we just work it? So the job was like $100. She was selling the washer and dryer for $85. So I got the washer and the dryer and $15 for the job. That washer and dryer that we got in probably 95 lasted up until about 8 or 9 years ago. It was already used, but it worked great for 20, 25 years beyond that. And they do not make them like they used to. I know that's a cliche, but they don't make them like they used to.
Don't. And it's something you need every day. Really harms your life if it breaks. And for me, it's not worth having the newest, fandangled, engineered and established washer dryer when the old school one does just as good.
We got a washer a while back that didn't have an agitator. It was the crappiest thing ever. I'm serious. Yeah. We couldn't get rid of that thing fast enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, oh, no, it works. No, it does not. I go to work stinking every day.
I remember that era. I don't.
No, that was a different era.
I'm just kidding.
I'm like, no, that was before I knew you. What? All right, it's 8:41 on News Talk 107.9. I'm going to take a break. 208-542-1079. If you'd like to join us, we'll be back.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neal and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
It's 8:48 on News Talk 107.9. Neil Larson and Julie Mason. I was just telling Julie, while we kind of do long for the good old days, and we all have memories of cars we really liked, or there is functionality on today's cars that I don't know that I'd want to give up. Mm-hmm. And one example, and I use this whenever we go on a road trip. For whatever reason, this won't surprise you, Julie. I love seeing what my current fuel economy is in the car. Like, I can look at it and I'm going 80 on I-15, halfway down, through Utah. And I'm getting 38 miles to the gallon. Like, I like having that. I like all the information that it brings and all of that. But there's that balance between having more information or having more bells and whistles and more things that can break on your car.
Yeah, well, and it's like we were saying in the previous segment, you just accept the risk, right? If you buy with more bells and whistles, you accept the risk. During the commercial break, you and I were talking about, what if each car brand manufactured the barest bones version of something?
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine how awesome that would have been to purchase for a high school kid.
Yeah.
A car that didn't have all the extras, that only cost $8,000. And, I'm sure we would get texts in saying, yeah, but don't you want your kid to have all the airbags and the sensors and everything? That would be great. But if my kid is driving that car just simply back and forth from school,
mm-hmm.
and I'm looking for a return on my investment, that would be a great car to pass down from kid to kid to kid for.
Yeah.
It would have gone through about 7 years with my kids.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would agree with you. And whatever happened to the Yugo? Do you remember the Yugo?
Yes, I remember the Yugo. I don't know. It's in a graveyard somewhere.
I remember they kind of looked like Volkswagen rabbits, sort of.
Yeah.
And they were sort of that. Like, they were the bare bones car. I think they made them in Yugoslavia. They named them after their... And they were garbage. All right, let's just face it, from a quality standpoint. But I think that was kind of the approach, was just make a bare model of something so that a new car is within reach for people who are even on a pretty strict budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a balance. We were talking about that. I think that it's a balance because if you do want the extras, you just have to accept that there's going to be additional costs down the road.
Yes. Yeah. Someone just texted in, they don't like the rear cameras because the kids never learn to turn and look.
I think it has diminished my looking.
Yeah.
Over the past few years.
Mine too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I get that.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to have that rear camera, but you really can't see a good distance both ways. So.
Yeah.
I still try to turn and look, though, but it's less.
You know where I don't turn and look ever? Backing out of my driveway. I don't have any little kids. There's no things to the side. And I leave at a time in the morning, especially in the morning. I don't even pay attention to anything except what my camera is doing. Now, if I'm in a parking lot, it's different.
Yeah, I got you. Do you try to park so that you don't have to back out? So if you'll...
If anyone has seen me get out of my car around town, I park clear out because I will not accept door dings. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, so often I pull through because I'm parking away from cars and I walk.
Okay.
Because I care about my investment.
Yeah, you don't want to get dinged.
Yeah.
All right. Someone said we bought the bare bones model car and it's still terrible quality. We've been paying for repairs for years now. And our baseline car is only 6 years old. So
wow,
that's rough.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah, that's true.
But read that other one.
Which one?
We have a 2000 Toyota Echo. I don't even know what an Echo is. So we have a 2000 Toyota Echo, bare bones, a manual transmission, original motor, almost 600,000 miles on it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So our first car that we bought after getting married was a used Toyota Camry. And it was like 5 years old when we bought it. And I felt sick. It was almost like $8,000. But when you're in college and you're just like, oh, it was the best thing we ever did, though. Because that car got like almost 40 miles to the gallon, never needed a repair. And I think I gave it to a mechanic friend of mine. In fact, I know I did. And it had like 330,000 miles on it when it was finally time to move into something else. And I thought, do you know how many cheap road trips we took to Utah in that car? And
yeah, it's a great investment.
Yeah, it really was. It turned out to be a really, really good investment. So good car, good fuel economy, not a terrible thing. So that's amazing, though. And Julie, will you do something for me?
Yeah.
Say, I don't know what a 2000 Toyota Echo is. Will you just say it like
sure.
that?
I don't know what a 2000 Echo is. Echo is.
Okay,
Echo is.
there you go. All right. We'll be back after this on News Talk 1079. It's 8:58 on News Talk 1079. Julie, when we come back, we're going to talk about a member of Congress who would not say that it's wrong for boys to be playing against girls in sports. So we'll have it for you. I think it was Chris Murphy, actually. Mm-hmm. So we'll have that audio for you coming up in an hour or two. We'll take your phone calls as well right here on News Talk 1079. Okie doke. Welcome back. It's time for hour two. And if you'd like to reach us on the Stones Automotive Group call and text line, that number's 208-542-1079. We'd love for you to be a part of the program today. And AOC, Julie, can I play this clip?
Yeah.
Okay, this is AOC, and we all saw the video of the altercation with ICE from, I believe, over the weekend. But listen to what AOC is saying.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Oh, man, I hope Tom Homan can sleep at night. I hope he's not afraid of her. That was so chilling, Julie.
Oh, my goodness.
So ominous.
This is the mom who looks at her kids and says, you throw a fit and nothing's going to happen for you. And the kid throws a fit and she's like, okay, do you want a Twix or do you want some Skittles?
Yes. So help me, if Kristi Noem and Tom Homan does anything, I will send a strongly worded letter to their office.
I bet Tom Homan is shaking, quivering right now.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he is. Okay, see, this is bad AOC. AOC could... Bad AOC. She could actually be... Like, what they were doing was wrong. You can't go up to law enforcement officers and start roughing them up. You just can't. I don't know why the left thinks that's okay.
She could actually work this to her favor. She could say... They went and they did something that wasn't in good taste. She doesn't even have to say they broke the law. Just say, hey, their passions boiled over. Aren't you grateful you have politicians who represent your views? Like, she could spin it.
She could. But
about it being passionate and everything. But instead, she just looks stupid.
Well, she was getting out of Jasmine Crockett land. She was doing pretty good. But I think she's making a return trip back to Jasmine Crockett land.
Well, she had her fast pass, and you can't let a fast pass go to waste.
That's true. When you have a window of opportunity, you gotta take it. All right, so this is Senator Chris Murphy. He was asked on a podcast about letting dudes play against girls in sports.
If you had a daughter competing against a biological male, would you find it unfair?
I don't have girls, right? So I necessarily can't, right? I can't put myself in that position.
Have some empathy, right, for those of us who do, right? So would you find it unfair?
I mean, I've talked to lots of parents of girls in Connecticut who do not think it's unfair. My conclusion is that I would support those athletes being able to participate in my community, right? In my community, but I would not substitute my judgment and my community's judgment for another community's judgment.
Okay, that is about the wussiest non-answer that you could ever come up with. This is why Democrats are going to keep losing, Julie. I don't know what parents he's talked to that are perfectly fine with letting boys compete against their daughters, but they are terrible parents.
Well, the logic doesn't follow this thread either, because sports aren't just community. The point of these athletic competitions is that you win within your community, and then you win within your region, and then you win within your state, and then you win within the national.
Yeah, that's true.
So he is framing it as that it's a community-only issue. That doesn't match what we're talking about at all.
That doesn't fly at all. Like, maybe for like the little tiny basketball kids leagues.
The 7-year-olds at the rec center.
Yeah, that it might be okay for that. But when you get older and it gets more competitive in middle school and high school and definitely in college, you're not talking about a singular community. That's absurd. He's absurd. I know they're kind of floating him right now. I see him doing a lot of media rounds, and I think they're like, okay, Chris, it's your turn. Let's audition you to see if you have any possibility of a future. And he's botching it. When you can't answer that simple question, when it's an 80-20 issue in America, you've failed your audition.
Yep. Yeah. They just keep failing. Look at who they've all gone through. They're so flat-footed right now. We started the show saying that how flat-footed they are. Yep. This trip for Trump has left them flat-footed. The deal with China left them flat-footed. I told you there was going to be people on the left who tried to say that China won that 90-day trade agreement. That happened all day yesterday. Oh, it's just 90 days. He didn't get what he wanted. This wasn't great for America. Really? Did you read it?
Yeah.
Did you even look at it? And furthermore, they can't look past, they just cover up the whole concept of stopping the flow of fentanyl.
Yeah.
They don't even want to talk about that.
No.
Because that's a win. Any amount of decrease with the flow of fentanyl is a win for America.
Well, how many kids' lives are going to, not just kids, but a lot of kids, how many lives are going to be saved, even within the 90 days?
Yes. But they just don't even, they're just reaching for anything right now to say.
Yeah.
And they'll just make up lies. The 90-day trade deal is great. I hope it extends. If you want to talk about that it was only 90 days, sure. But to call it a bad deal?
Yeah.
You're lying.
Well, yeah, you are. If anything, it's creating space to have some good negotiations for a long-term deal. Like it fits into my theory, Julie. Donald Trump has to bat 1,000. Everything he does has to be successful. And even that probably wouldn't convince some Democrats. So
Right. We're an hour out of the $600 billion deal with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
They signed documents. We're an hour out. Tonight, I promise someone will say that's not good for America.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, they will. Let's go back to the jet that Qatar is either loaning or giving. I don't know what the reporting is. And they're thinking, oh, this looks bad. That's terrible. Whatever. How many deposits from foreign countries into the Biden family bank accounts do you have to have for? I mean, they looked the other way. They're like, well, there's no evidence. I mean, this is a country allowing us to use a jet for our presidential transportation. This is not going to be parked at Mar-a-Lago so Trump can have it for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I sent you an X about the last roughly 100 days of Biden's presidency and how he just funneled money everywhere because he knew it was all going to get turned off.
Yeah.
And so he just started sending money to places. And those places were giving kickbacks to him and his friends. We don't talk about that at all.
No, not at all. And they don't want to look at it. They don't even know what the word evidence means anymore. Mm-hmm. So, all right, 9:15, 208-542-1079. Someone texted in back on the Chris Murphy comment. He doesn't have daughters, so he can't relate. Well, does he have a sister or a mother?
A wife?
Yes. That's absurd. Or a niece, or, I mean, anything. You know what? This is Ketanji Brown Jackson. This is her in her confirmation hearing saying, well, I'm not a biologist, so I can't tell you what a woman is.
I can't.
Well, and furthermore, if you listen to Chris Murphy for more than 5 minutes, he's going to be advocating for all different sorts of people, black communities in the inner city or whatever. He doesn't have direct relation. Like it's weird. This is an issue he knows for him. I don't know why he feels like it's a non-winning issue. I really don't understand this, but he's like hands off on this one. I'm gonna recuse myself from talking about this issue because I don't have a daughter. Well, you'll talk about every other issue.
You hijack every other issue.
Absolutely. So, Can I just say, 3 weeks ago or a month ago, if I said, do you know who Chris Murphy is? Could you have told me?
I would have remembered he's a senator. I couldn't tell you what state.
Right. Like he's a guy that was sort of an unknown.
Uh-huh.
We're kind of seeing this trend here because all the knowns, everybody dislikes already.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to yank people from the ranks of the unknown, or at least the relatively little known, hoping somebody's likable enough that they'll catch the imagination of the American people. And they don't have anybody.
Yeah, what's the resounding theme here? You're not likable.
You're not likable, and you just made yourself even more unlikable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even our maybe quote unquote not likable people on the right, Pete Hegseth has been controversial, right?
Yeah.
I was explaining to you, we were watching the TV during the commercial break when they signed the agreement with the Saudi Arabia leaders.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth walked that signed document across, traded it with a Saudi Arabia leader. They gave them their signed one. He gave ours their signed one. They held it up for a picture. Pete Hegseth turned around and did everything but salute Donald Trump. He turned around, faced him head on, bowed his head, and then walked off. Even our controversial ones have very likable aspects about them like that.
Yeah.
Please help me find something likable about the people they're floating. There is very few things that are likable about Gavin Newsom.
You're right. Well, like Gavin Newsom is a guy that can kind of do guy talk. But I don't feel like I look at him and go, he could be the president one day. Ever since he had that debate with Ron DeSantis, he crumbled. He's okay in environments where he can control and he's not being challenged or opposed. He can talk a good game. But the minute you shine a bright light on him or give him any opposition at all, he collapses. So I became far less worried about Gavin Newsom after that moment. But I'm looking, in fact, let's do another. We've already done one text poll today about the thing I did in the last hour about the start-stop thing. I want to do another one really quick. We aren't going to open up the phone lines. But name one Democrat that is likable to you.
Oh, yeah.
Just one. Fetterman, maybe? I'm trying to think. I don't know if I like Fetterman. He's just not. He's independent, and I appreciate that. But is there a Democrat right now? And I don't mean somebody who's retired. I mean,
because you can't say West Virginia. Why can't I think of his name right now?
Manchin. So name someone who's actively, currently operating day to day as a Democrat that you like, that you actually are like, I could get along with him. JFK. Well, sadly, he passed.
Yeah.
He might mean RFK Jr., but...
Yeah, we don't have time travel for JFK.
Yeah.
You're sitting here thinking someone that you like in the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
They're trying to float those people as potential presidential candidates. Our controversial one that I just said something likable about,
yeah,
I figured we'd get that. The person I just said was controversial,
yeah,
Pete Hegseth, he's not even being floated as a presidential candidate because we have so many likable ones.
Yeah.
So even when I give you the Republicans' controversial person, we're not relying on them to save the party.
Yes, that's true.
You guys are relying on Gavin Newsom or AOC to save the party.
You're looking for a Moses.
Yeah.
Because you're in exile right now.
Yep.
And you're looking for someone to, and I love that I'm using a biblical reference as an analogy for the Democrats.
Very appropriate. Let's see. What are they saying?
Someone said, a Democrat I like, Brad Little. And then they said, okay, fine, I don't like him. Be nice. We're trying to get the governor
to this one said, the only Democrat I like would be one that's sitting down and getting out of office.
I will tell you, you know who I think, okay, I can name one I like, but not on the national level.
Okay.
I like Alana Rubel and I like James Ruckty. Those are some Democrats that I could sit down and have lunch with either one of them.
I could too. You know what I appreciate about Alana Rubel is she doesn't hide from who she is.
I mean, they're paying because they're attorneys, but Yes.
James Rechte would pay for lunch for us.
Yeah, I'm sure
he's
would.
a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly can't come up with one on the national level. Somebody said Governor Shapiro. I think the guy's skeezy as all get out.
I do too. Like I felt like he was very Obama-esque, but he's got some disqualifying factors with him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really believe that. Richie Torres, a representative from New York, is good. All right, I'm trying.
I don't know him.
I don't know.
Maybe they need to audition him.
Yeah, maybe he's in the queue.
Maybe.
Maybe
His agent has called up.
Like for the next year and a half, they've got him lined up. Okay, this is your week. We're gonna parade you out on all the Sunday talk shows, and hopefully,
Richie, you get the week from August 1st to August 15th. You get those 2 weeks.
And we do throw Pete Buttigieg in on a rotation every 7 weeks because we hope that maybe he'll catch. Beto gets once every 8 months, but other than that, yeah.
What is he living off of now?
Beto?
No, well, yes, Beto, but
Pete?
I think Beto's family has money.
Oh, I
What
don't
is
know.
Pete living off of?
Oh, I'm sure he got himself taken care of while he was...
He's had to have set something up because I don't think they're working.
He probably can do speaking tours. I mean, he's a household enough name among Democrats that I think that he can
earn 10,000 here, 8,000 here.
You'll have state Democrat parties that'll drop him. So
that's got to be it. That's got to be all that.
Okay, but I am looking up his net worth. It's not huge. Most recent financial disclosure report, he's worth somewhere between $744,000 and $178,000. So he's not worth a bunch.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no. Here's another one that says his net worth is $16 million.
Okay, that's a disparity.
Who knows? That's August of 24. So.
Okay.
But it's a website called lawyersclubindia.com. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to believe here.
Okay, somebody said Harold Ford Jr. I had to look him up.
He's the guy that's on Fox all the time. He is a likable guy.
Okay.
That's true. And he's in the punditry world. I think he used to be a member of Congress. I don't think he is anymore.
He was in the U.S. House of Representatives.
I like Harold Ford. That's one that I could hang out with.
Yeah, Tennessee, I think. Yeah, Tennessee was where he served from 97 to 2007. So for 10 years, he represented Tennessee in the U.S. Congress.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to find him. Why is that? I mean, it used to be, Julie, both sides. You always liked one side better than the other. But it seemed like there were always these people on the other side, just a core of people that were. Like Austin Goolsbee was a guy that was a Clinton or an Obama guy, and he may even stretch back to the Clinton years. Super likable guy. He was a policy wonk, and he was a political advisor, and he's just a guy you're like, I'd like to hang out with him. He just seems like a really down home, folksy sort of guy. But I think they ran all those people off. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Well, the ones that you could stomach their policy were big names like Tulsi Gabbard, who had to switch parties because they treated her so poorly.
Yeah.
You just mentioned Bill Clinton. I'm sorry, you guys. Bill Clinton was likable.
He was likable.
You might not have liked his policy, but he was a really likable guy. If they had a Bill Clinton today, they could win.
Andrew Yang, that's a good example. That's a recent Democrat.
But they treated him horribly, too.
Oh, yeah, it's almost like, you're likable. Get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to have the bitter, annoying, screaming from the top of their lungs people.
Yeah, that's true.
Why is David Hogg valued more than Andrew Yang?
No idea.
That defies logic.
Did you see, by the way, they are maneuvering now to get David Hogg out? Like they're starting to take official steps to remove him.
As they should. He's a fraud.
He's a fraud, and he's a big liability to the party. But why'd they put him in the first place?
Yeah.
He's not that much different than he was 2 months ago.
They're floundering.
Yeah. Maybe they're auditioning for that role, too. Like, we'll try this out.
They've got an agent putting people everywhere. All right, 2 p.m., you have to be there. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., you're over here.
maybe they're, you know what? Maybe they're trying to find, Julie, a tolerable version of repulsive. Like, we need repulsive people because it's a repulsive ideology, but we need to find a tolerable version of repulsive.
So who is that? Is that Whoopi Goldberg? Think of somebody that is tolerable to people. Is it somebody like Whoopi? I'm not saying she's going to run in politics, but they've got a model after that.
You know what? I think Whoopi used to be that. Now Whoopi's just a hack. Like, I feel like she's just one of them now. Like, it's I mean, Behar's always been
Yeah.
Sonny's just angry all the time.
Okay, so let's go a different direction. Your late night talk show hosts, is a version of Jimmy Kimmel somebody you're looking for?
Okay, both Jimmy Kimmel and Steve Colbert are not guys I'd want to be around.
Okay, so
maybe for 5 minutes. Fallon, I could hang around Fallon.
So maybe you're looking for someone like him. Because we clearly, the Democrats can't look to somebody in their own party because they don't have anybody in their political circles.
Yeah.
So then you got to look out of those political circles and who can you model after the ones that are strong Democrats, but people still enjoy them.
I don't know.
Even that circle is very shallow.
It's very limited. Yeah. But I think the new media, the approach now, it used to be that, especially with late night, you said late night, Johnny Carson was an everyman. Like, he was a guy that everybody thought was funny, and they were a consensus builder. He made fun of Democrats and Republicans. Leno was very similar to that. Now the approach is different because there's so much media. It's so diversified. To create a niche audience, you now favor one side heavily and create a smaller but more loyal audience. And that kind of is almost a necessity now. That you have to, it's the same version as specializing in a topic, but you're just specializing in a certain toxic brand of liberalism.
Yeah, carving out your little audience.
Yeah, that cultivates a certain reliable crowd to come out.
And little is the strong word there.
Yeah, and I think gone, although I will say not totally gone. I still think there are Johnny Carson-esque figures, and Ryan Seacrest would be a good example. He's a guy, he's now hosting Wheel of Fortune. He's a guy everybody just kind of likes, you know?
Yeah.
Good dude. He doesn't really say anything controversial. He's very talented and can handle any situation. Handsome guy, you know, like he's just the everyman. So there still is a role for that. But for some reason, late night comedy is no longer that.
It's not there. Yeah.
So sad.
Man, I feel stumped looking for them. Can you imagine how they feel? Because they're invested.
I think but Julie, they don't want a non-toxic person.
Yeah. Well, look, you see this happen repeatedly in one-on-one relationships. You have friends in your circle where you're like, why do you keep dating that kind of a person?
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And you care about them, and you don't. I mean, you want to be gentle and kind and loving. That's the Democrat Party. They keep going the wrong direction.
Yeah, they are. Like it's a weird Stockholm syndrome almost, where they're just drawn to each other, and they are the worst thing for each other.
Yeah.
All right, 9:30. It's like relationship advice, but for political parties. We'll be back after this on News Talk 107.9. Okay, let's come back and do a town and country. I'll talk about my tomatoes.
Okay, tomatoes.
I planted tomatoes yesterday from Town and Country Gardens.
Town and Country Garden.
Well, I watched this last weekend. There was a documentary about Milli Vanilli. Have you seen that? It was good. It was really good. So I think it was Amazon. Was it Amazon Prime? I can't remember which streaming platform it was. But it told the story of these two guys. They became best friends in Europe. One was from Germany, one was from France. And the guy from France was like, I got to go to Germany and make it big because the entertainment scene was there. So he met Rob Pilatus there. And they started holding parties. Like they were just these dudes. They didn't have any money, but they were just this dynamic couple of friends, So they started having parties, and then they started kind of DJing, and then they started dancing. Like they kind of grew this following. And they just had the look to them. So this music producer took advantage of them and said, we can market that. But they couldn't sing a lick. Like they were just not good singers. But
I identify.
Yeah, well, that's actually what led me when we were going to break. I didn't want to hurt your feelings, but I thought,
you're so rude.
Milli Vanilli, right there. So, sorry. I don't mean that to hurt your feelings, but so I just know you say you can't sing well. I don't agree with it. I think you sing wonderfully, but
Liar. Freaking liar. You don't lie to all these people right to their faces.
I know. They know I'm teasing. But anyway, so this producer had him sign this contract, threw him a few bucks, and they're like thrilled. They're like, we got a contract. Well, they didn't read the contract. And they weren't going to be the singers. They were lip syncers, and they were so young and dumb, and they got further and further and further into this. But everybody loved their thing, like their vibe, the way they danced, the way they looked. And it was almost like they were too deep into it to do anything about it. And it even got to the point where they signed with Arista in America with Clive Davis and all of that. And I don't think that Arista knew when they signed that they were a lip sync band, because they wouldn't
have taken that risk.
Anyway, not a lot of people knew that it was lip synced. And it all started falling apart when one of their managers didn't even know that they were lip syncing. And he nominated them for the Grammys, wrote a letter, and whatever group it is that does the Grammys, they ended up winning a Grammy over all these other artists like the Indigo Girls and very deserving artists. And anyway, that's when the scrutiny really started in on them. And it was actually the producer that originally put them together that came out publicly and said they're a fraud, they're a lip sync band, because he was kind of being blackmailed by them because they wanted to start singing. And if they weren't, then he was going to out them, or they were going to out him. And then he said, okay, I'm getting ahead of this. And then it all fell apart. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That was scandalous.
Totally.
9:35. In 3.5 minutes, I just summarized the Milli Vanilli documentary that I watched over the weekend to Julie. And she was riveted. She thought it was fascinating.
You know what I was thinking the whole time is Milli Vanilli is not really that much different than Instagram influencers today.
Oh, that's so true. I don't think Milli Vanilli would be controversial if it all happened again today. Yeah.
Because the stuff you see these Instagram influencers post is all manufactured.
Oh, yeah. The filters?
Everything is manufactured. So it's basically social media. I mean, they're the social media stars that are the Milli Vanillis.
Yeah. Are you, speaking of this, are you watching all of these AI-generated baby videos where they take actual audio of
so funny
conversations, like Judge Judy?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, my land.
Funny.
Those are funny.
I saw one reenacting the Few Good Men thing last night. Yeah. You can't handle the truth. And the baby is yelling.
That's so great. What tool is it?
I'm sure we can figure it out. I haven't even dug, but they are pretty funny.
Because I think Neal and Julie need to do one.
We need to do one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you'd like to join us, 208-542-1079. Do you know what I did yesterday afternoon, Julie? I planted tomatoes.
Yeah.
Drove out. You sound intrigued. I drove out to Town and Country Gardens and got tomatoes and the big beefy tomato, I think.
Okay.
And then another variety pack. And this year I'm planting them in these little pots. Not pots, but like buckets.
Okay.
And anyway, I'm very excited. I sent you pictures.
So do you keep them on your deck and put them out in the sun, then back in to protect from frost until we get closer to them being out all the time?
No, I'm just going to watch the forecast. I leave them out. We have a kind of a cement pad out by our apple tree, and I just leave them on there to get the sun. So I don't move them every day. I'll water them every day because they're in pots that drain. But yeah, anyway, I'm super excited. Going to keep track of it and watch it grow.
You can do the same thing at Town and Country Gardens. They have plenty of experts there for you to ask questions to. I know you talked to them about the fertilizer for your soil.
Yeah.
So you took the steps they encouraged you to take, and hopefully that makes these beautiful tomatoes to harvest here in a few months. You can have all of that too. If you want to go to their website, it's mygardengeek.com. Tons of information there. They have classes. They run specials. You can see all of that there. And then it's always just great to stop by because it's such a beautiful facility.
It really is. The outdoor areas with the walking paths that they have. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's just fun to go there and see all the variety, the expertise, and all of it. So South of Idaho Falls, Yellowstone Highway, across from the Budweiser plant. And tell them we sent you.
Okay.
Plant tomatoes with me. I tried to convince Julie to plant tomatoes, but she's
I cannot add another thing to my life.
Yeah, no. I got you.
Can't happen.
Yeah. All right, quick break. We'll come back and continue after the news break here at the bottom on News Talk 107.9. All right.
Do I want to watch Milli Vanilli? Would I be
You'd like
intrigued by that?
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
Okay.
Yep. And I think it's like an hour and a half. You could watch it over a couple of workouts.
Okay.
So
I was going to look at the weather. I won't have a chance. I have too much riding to do today, so I wouldn't have it. Oh, it's rainy today. And it's rainy for most of the morning. Holy.
Oh, wow. Is it?
I don't see rain right now, but
pretty dry.
And then Wednesday, rainy as well. Fun. Spring in Idaho.
Oh, yeah. Kind of rainy all day. And then more coming this weekend. Sunday, Monday looks rainy, too.
Stephanie said it rained in Pocatello all morning. I'll appreciate it. Makes the grass really, really, really green.
Yeah.
The man never stops.
I know.
He never stops. Biden could have never done this.
No, I talked about that in my monologue. I'm like, can you imagine putting Biden in this situation? It would have been so embarrassing.
It's funny. Yesterday, CNN cut away from Trump's EO signing. They were the first media outlet to cut away.
Yeah.
They're not even carrying it. But ABC and Fox are carrying it.
Elon Musk is there. I didn't know.
Yeah, because there's all of those massive businesses there.
Yeah.
They put up a list earlier. There's Tesla and BlackRock and NVIDIA and I can't even remember who else. Amazon, Google.
You know, it's interesting because you think about past presidents and they all have an entourage because they have to, right? There's a lot of, but I don't remember a previous administration taking so many high profile people on these long trips like this. Because, I mean, Hegseth was there, Lutnick's there, Elon Musk is there. Did I see Pam Bondi?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought I saw someone who looked like Pam Bondi, but it wasn't a close-up shot.
We'll see.
I doubt it because she's not a foreign policy thing.
I'll ask. Okay, several key officials on the trip to Saudi Arabia. Among them are Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, Susie Wiles. Okay, that's who they listed, Susie Wiles.
Are there any congressional delegates?
Yeah, like did Risch go?
Yeah, because Risch has done foreign trips with Trump before.
Oh, I need to spell lawmakers correctly.
I am amazed at how good AI is at figuring out what I meant when I misspelled.
Doesn't look like it.
9:44 on News Talk 107.9 208-542-1079. President Trump speaking in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia right now. Let's listen in.
Got into office and they gave me about a month to clean up and fix up the Oval Office. And after that, we started working. And the money is pouring in, the jobs are pouring in, the companies are pouring into our country like we've never seen before. There's never been anything like it. And we let other people tariff us into losing a lot of money and a lot of jobs. And now we're tariffing them And it's at a level that nobody's seen. It's a level that is making us a very much different country and a very different Republican Party. We won a tremendous victory in November. We won all 7 swing states, the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. The Electoral College, we won by 312 to 226. Remember, they said, well, we could get to 270. We got to 312. That's a big difference. And very importantly, we won counties throughout the United States, 2,660 to 451. That's why when you look at a map, they're all red. The whole country is red. Red stands for Republican. From the moment on and from the moment we started, we've seen wealth that just poured and is pouring back into America. Apple is investing $500 billion. NVIDIA is investing, and I see my friend is here, Jensen. That's very good, wherever you may be. Thank you very much, because he's putting in $500 billion. TSMC is investing. Where is Jensen, by the way? Where is he? He's standing here. Where is he? I just saw Beth. Thank you very much, Jensen. I mean, Tim Cook isn't here, but you are. What a job you've done. He said he's got 99% of the chip market. I don't know. That's not easy to beat. But what a job you've done. Thank you. We are proud to have you in our country. You know that. Thank you for the investment. TSMC is investing $200 billion, and with this trip, we're adding over $1 trillion more in terms of investment into our country and buying our products. And nobody makes military equipment like us. We have the best military equipment, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything, best submarines, by the way. Most lethal weapon in the world, in addition to purchases of $142 billion of American-made military equipment by our great Saudi partners, the largest ever. This week, there are multi-billion-dollar commercial deals with Amazon, Oracle, AMD. They're all here. Uber, Qualcomm, Johnson & Johnson, and many, many more. So I want to congratulate everybody. So many great business executives, many of you, most of you I know. And they're coming in, about a month ago. They weren't that happy when they saw me. And now they're saying, sir, you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. It's amazing what a rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher. In fact, I told people 5 weeks ago, this is a great time to buy. I got criticized for that. Now they don't criticize me anymore. People should have listened. But it's going to go a lot higher. You're going to see, we've never had anything like this happen. It's an explosion of investment and jobs, and great companies are coming in. Never seen anything like it. There's no better place to make a future or make a fortune, do anything, frankly, than what we have in the United States of America under a certain President, Donald J. Trump. I have the right attitude. I have the same attitude that the people in the front row, second row, third row have. As you get back, perhaps they start to wane a little bit in terms of their view. But they understand, and we're doing what a lot of smart people would do. And we're not necessarily being politically correct. You saw what we did yesterday with health care. We've cut our health care by 50 to 90%. You're going to see drugs and pharmaceuticals come down at numbers that nobody has ever seen. And drugs, pharmaceuticals, we think will be dropping. And it'll be a redistribution of costs with other nations, which really took advantage of a very nice group of people that ran our country. But not only is this a time of incredible excitement in the United States, it's also an exhilarating period right here in the Arabian Peninsula. Beautiful place, by the way. Beautiful place. Exactly. Thank you. Exactly 8 years ago this month, I stood in this very room and looked forward to a future in which the nations of this region would drive the forces of terrorism and extremism, drive them right out of existence, and take your place among the proudest, most prosperous, most successful nations anywhere in the world. as leaders of a modern and rising Middle East. So exciting. So exciting. Mohammed, you sleep at night? How do you sleep? Huh? Just thinking. What a job. He tosses and turns like some of us. Tosses and turns all night. How do I make it even better all night? It's the ones that don't toss and turn. They're the ones that will never take you to the promised land, won't they? But you have done some job.
All right. You've been listening to President Trump speaking in Saudi Arabia and doing a little patting himself on the back.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I'm sure that there will be people in the media who do, but he's had an amazing 115, 120 days, whatever it is now.
Yeah.
And he can take a victory lap. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And this feels like it could end up being a pretty historic trip for Trump.
I hope so.
All right, let's take a break. 9:51, our time on News Talk 107.9. We're kind of crunched for time here, but we'll come back. We'll wrap it up after this. Okay,
so while that was playing, I was scrolling X, and there's a 7-second video of a mobile McDonald's truck that you can go and purchase McDonald's items from.
Okay.
It's big. It's kind of like the size of a semi.
Yeah.
The Blaze put this up and said, Saudi Arabia rolled out a mobile McDonald's truck for Trump's visit. Absolutely incredible, with a laughy face. Well, you'll notice on X, a whole bunch of people are now immediately underneath the X post. They say, Grok, is this true? So they at Grok, is this true? And Grok just automatically answers. Are you ready for this brutal takedown?
No.
After looking into the claim, it seems unlikely that the mobile McDonald's truck in Saudi Arabia was set up specifically for Donald Trump's visit on May 13th, 2025. While Trump did visit the country for business deals, as confirmed by credible sources, there's no solid evidence linking the truck to his trip. The Blaze's claim lacks corroboration and may be misleading given their history of sensationalized content.
Oh, wow.
Wow. The video likely shows a truck used for another purpose.
Okay. What is this speaking to?
I don't know. Grok obviously believes that though they've put up enough X's that they've been proven wrong before.
Okay.
Interesting. It's kind of brutal.
That is pretty. But I don't view the Blaze as any different than any of the other conservative sites like
Charlie Kirk,
Bongino Report, Daily
Lara
Caller,
Loomer,
Daily Wire.
It'd be interesting. Let me go. I'll just mess around for a minute. Let's go to Daily Caller.
Yeah.
See if Grok has weighed in on anything they've done recently.
There's so many AIs now. It's hard to know. I've used Grok a little, but excuse me.
Remember the kid who stabbed the other kid at the track meet?
Yeah.
Daily Caller an hour ago put up that Carmelo Anthony will be reportedly allowed to graduate from high school while out on bail.
They're going to let him graduate?
They're going to let him walk?
Oh, my word.
I don't...
That... His name is Carmelo Anthony?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the basketball player.
Wow.
Except it's Carmelo with a K.
Okay. How do you do that? Because it's not even in question that he did it, right?
No, it'll just... I think the defense is either self-defense or I don't think they're going to claim insanity. So I think self-defense is his only option.
Okay.
He's admitted. He told the cops he did it.
Yeah. 9:56 on News Talk 107.9. Neil Larson along with Julie Mason. Swing by Town and Country Gardens. Grab your 4-step lawn program. Grab your vegetables for your vegetable garden. They have a great selection there. If you want hanging baskets, they have those too. If you're looking for flowers to plant, you'll find a very, very wide selection. You can get all the things you need, Julie, at Town and Country Gardens.
Yep. And it's a beautiful trip to a store. Sometimes you have to go grab things and it's just a gigantic annoyance and you have to go in, you have to go get it. That is not your visit to Town and Country Gardens.
No.
You're going to enjoy it. It's peaceful. It smells amazing.
Yeah.
And plus they have everything you need. So it's one stop for all of your lawn and garden.
That's true. It's almost relaxing just to stroll through and enjoy it. So, south of Idaho Falls, Yellowstone Highway, across from the Budweiser plant. And tell them Neal and Julie sent you.
Yeah.
So.
P.S. Not too late to do your 4-step lawn program.
Oh, no.
Go get it.
Get going. The U-mates, you could get those down. And then in a couple of weeks, step 2, and you'd be on track.
Yep.
So, all right, Julie. How long is Trump on this trip for?
It is several days. The agenda or the itinerary has been pretty hush-hush. I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep him safe. So I do know that meeting with apparently with Putin and Zelensky in Turkey is supposed to happen Thursday.
Okay.
And they were floating the idea of him popping over to that meeting. So he's there till at least Thursday.
Okay. Part of me thinks maybe that's just a head fake because I thought he's got to show up if he's going to float the idea. Maybe he won't simply because it's a distraction. He'll be doing something else.
Maybe.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think this president especially is at risk. I mean, that's been borne out, right? Like
you and I talk about this all the time.
We do. Like I'm looking at this. He's in. I mean, Saudi Arabia is an ally of the United States, but he's in a region of the world where people don't just hate Trump; they just hate America. And so I would imagine they have to take extra precautions in that hot spot to protect him. And it's just you're like you watch him speak publicly. He's in a very large room, a lot of people in attendance. And you're like, man, I hope their security is just rock solid.
Yeah, I mean, where do you sleep? I mean, he doesn't sleep anyway. But where do you sleep? Do you sleep on Air Force One? Do you?
Maybe that might be the most secure place for him.
I don't know, yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for the show today. If you'd like to join us on Facebook Live, text live to 208-542-1079. Julie and I back tomorrow.